Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. In today's video I'm going to be getting my plants ready for the show tomorrow. That's not going to interest everybody, I know. Some may be just interested to listen to me while I'm getting the plants ready, talk to you about what the judges would be looking for and how you can not influence them but not wind them up by not doing certain things. I mean, one of the worst things you can do with putting a plant into a show is put a dirty plant in, you know, covered in dust or something like that, or in the wrong colour pot. There's lots of things that will wind them up, and some things could even get your plant disqualified, and you go to all the trouble of taking it and they tell you to take it out. So we'll go over those points as we go along. But before we start, I'm going to be busy today. I'd like to show you somebody who's not busy. It's that time of year again, when the sun is at the right angle to come in and light up the settee. And when it does, guess who finds it straight away? He loves to sit in the warm sunshine. We don't get any of that outside at the moment, so he sleeps peacefully there. And eventually the sun moves away and he starts thinking, ooh, I'm not warm anymore, and then he moves. Snoozy cat. Okay, most shows, well I would imagine all shows that you go to, in a competitive environment, there's always going to be some paperwork to do. This is the sort of thing, you know, if you take your plant to a show for the first time, it pays to find out these things before you go, not wait till you get there. This is the sort of thing you will be confronted with. Your plant will probably be entered into a class, and the class is for certain types of orchids, and you might get an elaboration as well, which is for instance, class number 1 is Cattleya Alliance. Well, you might need to explain that, so there's some explanatory notes. Cattleya Alliance. Species and hybrids includes Cattleya, Laelia, Sophronitis, Brassivola, Barkeria, Broughtonia, Encyclia, Epidendrum, Leptotes. So you get an explanatory note, so you get that. And I'm entering 5 plants. So I have my registration form, so prepared in advance rather than scribbling it down in handwriting that can't be read by the person taking the registrations. So I printed mine off the website and I've typed it in so that it can be read. I'm putting 5 plants in. There's my Prima Donna, my Tahitian Dancer, my Cymbidium Copper, that isn't copper, but we won't worry about the colour. My miniature Cymbidium I decided to put in the show rather than keep with me on the table, simply because it would be nice, the fuller the tables are the better it is. And I'm going to put the Paphiopedilum in, even though it's only got 1 bloom on it. And these are the classes that those plants live in. So that's my paperwork done, ready to go for tomorrow. And what have I got here? Well, I've got my 5 plants. 4 of them are out of the way, and this is the one I'm going to start on. I've got what's left of my coffee. What else have I got? What else have I forgotten? I need some water. So this is RO water, clean water. We'll have some of that in that little dish. You're not going to be able to see everything that I do, but I can't keep moving the camera. I need to get this done and get it out of the way. And I've got some of these little cotton wool pads. These are what some of the ladies use for makeup, or I think they use it for taking the makeup off. Well, I assume it's the ladies. Nowadays, could be anything, couldn't it? I've got some clips in case I need to put some stakes on. I've got some newspaper. There's a reason for this. That will be the last thing that I need. And I've got my plants. Right, so let's get the coffee done. Right, things wrong with this plant. First of all, it's a young plant. It's not a specimen plant. It's nice. It's not a nice mature plant. It's only the second time it's bloomed. It has a nasty blemish on that lowest bloom. That's going to knock a mark off, I suspect, in that category. When the judges are marking, they have a total number of marks. Well, different places judge differently, but the basic principle is there's a maximum number of points available for a plant. It's very rare for a plant to get full marks. Let's put it this way. They'll always find something wrong. But the points are usually split into categories, like culture. How well is this plant being grown? Yeah, compared with, you know, how well it could be grown. It's always compared with how good it could be. How good is the blooming? You know, if a judge is there who's seen that same plant with a spike with 27 blooms on and yours has only got 3, it's not going to do very well in that category, even if those blooms are perfect. So they're grouped together and you get marks within the group and then you get a total number. That's how most work. So this is not a mature plant, so that would probably mean it would reduce points in a certain category. However, given the culture side of things, the latest bulb is bigger than any before. The leaves on the latest growth are nice and clean and are more suited to the size of the plant. So anyone who knows what they're doing knows that this bulb was grown much better than the previous ones, because the previous ones have got big long floppy leaves, so the chances are it wasn't in enough light. And they flopped over, which doesn't make the plant look very good. If I cut them off, there will be a stump and it will be obvious I've cut them off. And I'm not cutting them off because they photosynthesize. I'm not ruining the health of my plant for something that's not going to win in its category anyway, I doubt. I'm not putting my plants in to win anything, I'm putting them in for padding. You know, if there's only 2 plants in a category and I add mine in, then I'm guaranteed a third, aren't I? But we need the gaps on the table filled up with plants in flower. Let's have a good show. So anyway, the only thing I need to do with this is virtually ready to go in, is we have a damp cloth here. We need to make sure that the pot is clean. Not only do we need to have a good look at the leaves in a minute and make sure they're clean and not covered in dust, we also need to make sure the pot's clean. And all plants that go into our shows, and probably others as well, must be correctly labelled with a label that can be read. So Cymbidium showgirl, nice clear label. Some of the labels that people leave on the plants thinking, oh, it's got a label, it'll be fine. You can't read it. It's faded pencil. You just can't read it. Or the handwriting is so bad that you can't read it. So, and that's the sort of thing that will wind a judge up. Try and keep them happy, people. Right, so that one is ready to go. I'm just going to have a quick look at the leaves. Are these leaves dusty? They're not really, but on this one I'm just going to run my fingers over them just in case there's any dust, and it'll just brighten them up, make them nice bright green. Now I could do this with the cotton wool pads and the water that I've got, but these aren't dirty enough to warrant messing about like that, so this is enough. So there we have plant number 1 ready to go. Registration form done, pot clean, leaves clean. The spike is already staked, there's nothing more I can do with the spike, and the only other thing I can do is just remove that cobweb off that bloom. It's silly, but it all helps. Right, so that's that one done. If I get that newspaper out of the way, we can put that up there, because I'm sort of doing a let's move along here. Right, so we'll do this one next. I might stop filming in a minute. Now, What we've got here is a pot that's not in a black pot. That's all submitted plants at our show must be in a black pot. They don't have to be planted in the black pot, but they have to be in it. So that one's in a black pot. It's not really in it, is it? It's sticking out the top. Doesn't look very good, does it? So that black pot is no good for that plant. However, this one probably is, because this is a shallow pot, and the black pot that's suitable would be good. Now that's better. That tucks down inside nicely, so that's the one we'll use. So, my back hurts today. I'm just going to give the pot a quick wipe, as before, make sure that's clean. So that's a clean pot. That can stand inside. It's not going to fall over, it fits in there quite nicely. Right, what else is wrong with this plant? Again, the leaves are clean, so we're okay. The other thing that will disqualify your plant is bugs. So obviously in my grow room I've had aphids and I've had scale. In theory I haven't got either at the moment, but it does pay to check your plant. I remember a friend who had a Dendrobium delicatum that was just a mass of blooms. It was stunning. It was in a bucket. This was a huge mature plant. It was gorgeous. And he bought it in, carried it in, proud as punch, and set it up in the Dendrobium X delicatum. So it went in the hybrid section. It's not a species, it's a naturally occurring hybrid. So he stuck it in the section and everything and stood back, and I was chatting to him and saying, oh, the fragrance from that is filling the whole place. And suddenly he saw somebody carrying his plant. Excuse me. And they looked round and they said, it's covered in aphids, it's got to go out. So his plant was disqualified and taken out of the room so that it couldn't get aphids on any other plants. Now there's a downside here. I have a yellow bulb. Now if I leave that on there, that's a black mark. So somehow I'm going to have to try and get that off. I'm hoping it will come off with my scissors, but I can't leave it on there. It's so obvious. Good, managed to get that off nicely. And now what we can do is fill the hole in with the bark. That looks a lot better. Right, now the label on that, Oncidium Tahitian Dancer, is perfectly readable, but it's not clean, is it? So we'll just give that a little wipe with the cloth and make sure it's nice and clean. It's faded, but it's perfectly readable, but we don't want a dirty one. So we'll just make sure that's nice and clean, and then pop that back in where it can be read. Now what else is wrong with this plant? Well, if you can imagine it on the show table, as it is now, this spike is going to be sat on the table. This should have been staked before the buds opened to ensure that the blooms adjusted their aspect to that angle, and they'd have all opened nice and upright like they are now. I'm going to have to stake this, and in doing so the blooms won't look as good, but I can't have them sat on the table like that. Now with any luck I can get away with a couple of these really short stakes. This one, get that one about there. Now when you put a stake in a pot, make sure it goes in there firmly. Yeah, try and find a nice place where it's going to go in, push it in where you want it and make sure it's firm. Then what you need to do is get a clip or a little bit of something to hold it in place. Now I've got quite a few of these, dropped it, that's because I'm trying to work with one hand here again. Let's tip them out. Where'd it go? there it is. These clips are very good because the little bit on the end, which you can't see, I'm far too far, oh I can let go of that. This little bit here fits the stake quite nicely and holds it quite tight on the stake, whereas this bit that goes around the plant is loose and can cater for quite long, quite big stems. So, it's loose on there. That's not going to work. It may work, let's try it. So we put that bit on the stake, put that bit round the plant, and see if it will stay there. Yes, it will. That'll be alright. So that's that one done. And then we need to do this one, which has dropped right down badly. And this is going to be difficult to stake, because where I want to put the stake is where the plant is. So hold the spike where you want it, and then look for a place the stake can go where it can do its job. And I need that stake there. Like that. And then I need a clip. I wonder if that one will stick around there nicely. No. I want a tight one this time round, so I'm going to use a grabby clip. These are claw clips. Yeah, they grab the stake and the stem at the same time, and sometimes you have to put them at an angle so that two of the teeth grab hold of the stake and stop it moving. So let's see if we can get that in a nice position. Somewhere about there. Whoops, can't see what I'm doing, there's a leaf in the way. That'll be okay. And when I put that on the table, I will put the blooms slightly offset, so that they are slightly offset with the plant. And that'll have to do. So I can't spend all day doing anything. So pot's done, tag's done, leaves are done, blooms arranged accordingly. So that's that one done. And next we'll do this one. This is my prima donna. Now that one has now got the black pot off of this one, so this one needs a black pot. But first we look at the plant. Now the plant has got 2 last year's canes. That's good, that's a bonus. That shows that the plant is progressing and not going downhill. Unfortunately, this one is shorter than a previous one, so it didn't grow as well as it should. So from the culture point of view, this is not being grown as well as it could. And it's obvious by the short cane from last year. Anybody who knows about dendrobiums, and there's one judge there that definitely does, if not 2. Right, what else is wrong with that? What is wrong with that plant? It sticks out like a sore thumb. That cane has got to come off. Right at the base. Why? Because it crossed right across the plant. Yeah? So we don't want that. That would have looked awful. It's an old shriveled cane anyway. So now let's have a look at the rest of the older canes. What do we want to do? This one has bloomed. So has this one. This one's in bloom, hasn't got any leaves. This one has bloomed. This one has been chopped off. Now that was done when I got the plant. I'm just having a look at the aspects that this will be on. Yeah, I'm going to take that cane off too. It's a good time to think about taking canes off of nobody's anyway. So we'll take that one off. Now the aspect of the plant looks quite nice. So far so good. Just standing that up there. Next thing, tag. Perfectly readable, and now it's perfectly clean. So tag done. And the tag needs to be readable from the front. All of the tag, not just a bit of it, so don't bury your words. Right, so far so good. What about the leaves? Are the leaves clean? Yes. Actually, these are slightly sticky. I know why. Because this plant was near the plants that had the aphids. So there would have been some aphid poo. That sticky stuff would have come down onto this plant. So this time I will use some water, and we'll just give these leaves a wipe. Let's make sure they're nice and bright and shiny. It does make a difference. As I said, presentation is part of it. You don't get a lot of points for presentation, but there are sort of some, which is why, like, the wrong colour pot will knock you down, a dirty pot would knock you down, various things. But the idea is to make it look as good as you can with the time you're prepared to put in. I mean, I've seen people use ultra-fine wire to actually wire every single bloom exactly to perfection. I'm not doing that. Right, so I'm looking at, that's the view, that's the view that the people will get. See, now it would be nice if that bloom was there, but it's not. But if I lean it up against that leaf, it is. Now it is, and then we can bring that one round to there, using that leaf to hold it in place. So we've now got a few more blooms to look at. These two are a nuisance, I can't do anything with them. So there we go. Now all we need is a black pot suitable for that one. Let's have a look round. All I'm going to do is grab a black pot that another plant is in. In other words, I'm going to reuse one that's already in use. They'll all go back together where they normally go. It's quite a large pot. I'm going to need a fair sized one. Let's try this one, see if this will fit. This one probably isn't tall enough. In fact, I'm pretty sure it won't be. No, that's the same as the one that's just come off of it. So not one of those, which means we want a full one, not one out of that batch, because there's quite a few of those in here. So we need, let's try this one, see if this, oh, my back is really twinging at the moment. It's, oh, I think I've twisted it this morning somehow with all the lifting and getting stuff ready. It would be better if it tucked down inside, if I can find one a bit bigger. If not, that one will do, because I think the next size up is gigantic, is actually huge, and it'll just look silly. Just looking round. There's a really good one there, but there's actually a plant planted in it. So that's not going to work, is it? No, I think that's going to have to do. Right. Oh, ow. Right, so let me just take that out of there so that we can give it a wipe, because this one is quite grubby. We'll just brighten it up a bit. It does make a difference. It just say it's just presentation, but that's that one. Jolly good. Label done. Doesn't need staking or anything. It's good to go as it is. So we'll get that one over there out of the way. And I'm only going to do one more. The cymbidium down there is already planted in a black pot. The label's good. The leaves will possibly need a wipe, and the pot will need a clean as well. This one needs a little bit of work. This is the Paphiopedilum. Now this has got some lovely sawn off leaves. That's black marks straight away, because it shows there must have been something wrong with those leaves at one point. The rest of the leaves on the plant are good. You know, so a judge is probably going to think those leaves were probably like that when the guy got it. Benefit of the doubt, they may not be, but the leaves are dirty, they will need a clean. And the other problem with this is the old flower spikes sticking up. They need trimming back down inside the sheath, because they spoil the whole look. And the bloom itself is already staked, that doesn't need any work done, and the tag is readable and good and correct. This is an unusual one, and a lot of people would put this type of plant into a show with an incorrect label. It's a naturally occurring hybrid, it's not a species, even though you can find it in the wild, and as such it needs an X in front of it. Yeah? So a lot of people would put that in as Paphiopedilum lianum. Well, it needs the X on there to identify it as a naturally occurring cross. Now the problem with this one is actually it's planted in a terracotta pot. So again, I need to find a black pot that will fit that one and tuck it away. That's far too small. But apart from that, I've just got to clean the leaves. So that'll do, that gives you an idea of the sort of thing. The only other thing I've got left to do, once I've got them all ready and they're all clean, tags done, everything like that, I've got to pack them in this tray so that I can carry them all at once. And that'll be just a matter of putting them in a place where the blooms can't get bashed, and that's what the newspaper's for. Screwed up newspaper in between the pots to stop them wobbling around and falling over, so that I can carry the tray and put the car in the tray safely and the plants won't fall or get damaged. So that's what the newspaper's for. And there we go, that's getting some plants ready and a chat about the sort of things. As I say, what the judges are looking for is how close to a perfect plant is yours. And what is that perfect plant? Well, each judge has probably got their own impression of what that plant should look like. But their experience over the years and everything, and the shows they've done, competitions they've been to, exhibitions they've been to, they will have seen in a lot of cases some good examples of a plant like yours. So they've got a fair idea how good it could be. They might even own one the same. So that's what they can go on. If they have got a brand new orchid that they've never seen before, and there's, say, a set of 3 judges and none of them have ever seen one before, then they have to use their imagination and have a look at it closely. You know, how does this plant grow? Is it one that grows new fans from the base? Is it a cane type or a pseudobulb type? In which case they can picture what other species or hybrids might look like and compare it with that. That's the best they can do. That doesn't happen often. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I've got amongst this came from a private collection, Cymbidium copper. So I doubt if anybody's seen that, but they've seen Cymbidiums like it 1,000 times, so they don't need to worry about the fact they haven't seen that one. This particular Paphiopedilum is relatively popular, not that difficult to get hold of. I suspect they will have seen that one before. It's a good plant, no doubt about that. Tahitian Dancer, standard Oncidium type hybrid, probably mass produced. They'll have seen thousands like that if they haven't seen that one. Dendrobium prima donna, it's a nobile type. They will have seen thousands of all the different types of nobile hybrids and the species. So they know what they're supposed to look like, they know what they're comparing it with. And then the little Cymbidium miniature, they're not that common, the miniatures. The standard and the large and the giants are common as muck. The little miniatures are not that common. But nonetheless, it's still a Cymbidium. It has a certain shape and style to it. That's what they'll be looking for. So there we go. Chat about getting ready for the show. So I should get this lot finished off, and that's done. Then I've got to make sure I've got all my paperwork sorted out. I've got lots of stuff I've printed off to hand out and things like that. I've got the floats, so that we've got Lawrence Hobbs is being lazy. He's not coming, but his plants are. So somebody's got to stand with his plants and sell them for him. As such, they need a float. I'd forgotten that one. We've got this special offer for the members at this show as a one-time 50th anniversary celebration. It costs £3 to get into the show, which is very reasonable, I think, in today's world. Our single membership is £15. If you join the society at the show tomorrow, so basically you've paid £3 to get in, and what we will do is deduct that £3 from your membership. So you only pay £12 for your membership, yeah? And you get a free orchid, Phalaenopsis in bloom, with a care guide, which is probably worth somewhere between 10 and 12 quid. So you pay 12 quid to join for the rest of the year, and you get an orchid, which is virtually to that value. It's a no-brainer. We're going to get people joining just to get the orchid. And maybe they'll come to some meetings, which is the idea. It's a bit of a recruitment drive. So, yeah, it'll be nice to see some people there. If you come to that show, it's in Porchester, along the south coast. Where could we say if you didn't come from that area? Between Southampton and Portsmouth, that sort of region. It's actually between Fareham and Portsmouth, but that area, off the M27. It would be nice to see some people there, and if you are there, come and say hello. And maybe I'll see some of you tomorrow. As far as videos are concerned, I probably won't get round to doing a video tomorrow. I will film the show, the plants, some of the traders, you know, expanses of their things. I will get some clips from the show. Putting them together is probably not going to happen tomorrow evening, because I shall be cream crackered, having spent all day, or a lot of it, on my feet doing stuff, and would have been there and busy and travelling from about, I think I'll be leaving about 7:45 in the morning, and I probably won't be home till 6:30, 7:15, and I'll have been busy either driving or busy for that day. So chances of me doing a video tomorrow evening are virtually zero. Sunday chat will be that. It will be there, and it will be on Sunday, and the clips from the show I'll put together as a video for next week. So there we go. Thanks for dropping by. Good to see you, and see you again soon. Bye for now.